I find it interesting that the better the Ukrainians do and the worse the Russians are doing, the more outrageous the claims by the Putinoids in our media and in both political parties. And that is that Putin is going to use nuclear weapons. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Maybe China will. Maybe China won't. Maybe Pakistan will. Maybe Pakistan won't. But my question to you is this: why hasn't he already? If he's going to use, what's he waiting for? Is he waiting for more of his military to get defeated, more of his men to be killed, more of his tanks to be destroyed? What's he waiting for? And I also noticed that the Putinoids in this country, do they really believe what they're saying? Because they're not encouraging us to attack Iran, which is clearly building ICBMs with nuclear warheads, and nobody's stopping them. In fact, we're funding them. So if they're worried about nuclear war, why aren't they supporting the moderate Gulf Arab states and Israel, which want to attack Iran and knock out their nuclear sites? Because they're phonies, that's why. They're isolationists, they're pacifists. They claim to be America first, but that's America last. Now take a look at this. This is the Ukraine Road of Death. It shows Russians fired on civilians. This is from the Wall Street Journal. They are slaughtering civilians, brutalizing them. I think one day when we see the numbers, we're going to be shaking our heads. And you remember who these Putinoids are in our media and in our political parties who said, do nothing. Do nothing. You remember when you see the carnage, just like after World War II. You remember who the pacifists, quote unquote, are. And they claim they don't support Putin. Well, then who do they support? America. No, they don't support America. Go.
This March 3rd video shows civilian vehicles being fired on while fleeing the occupied Ukrainian village of Motizhin. Located outside of Kyiv, between Motizhin and Yasna-Horodka, a roughly 4-mile stretch of road served as a crucial but perilous escape route from incoming Russian forces. Local police said 37 civilians died here between late February and the end of March. The Wall Street Journal analyzed videos, photos, messages posted to social media, and weapon debris. We interviewed multiple people in the village and reviewed phone calls between residents. We didn't account for all of the deaths, but we found evidence from a few key incidents that give a window into how a 4-mile stretch of road became one of the most blatant examples in the war of Russian soldiers attacking civilians attempting to flee. One man who made it through the road in March, Yuri Supernenko, recalled the horror.
Як тільки ми виїхали із села, це була дорога смерті. Від Мотижина до Ясногородки. Це було просто жахіття.
There are 3 main routes in and out of Motizhin. During the first week of the war, the 2 roads to the north became the site of many civilian killings as they tried to flee Russian forces pushing south. Many Motizhin residents turned to a road running southeast toward the village of Yasna-Horodka in hopes of getting to places free of Russian troops. But this southern route would become just as perilous throughout the month. The stretch of road closer to Yasna-Horodka is where many civilians were attacked. On March 3rd, a caravan of 3 evacuating vehicles were fired on here. Weapons experts say that the 2 projectiles seen in these videos are likely mortar and appear from the left of the frame, indicating that they were likely shot from the northeast side of the road, just east of Motizhin, which a driver in one of these vehicles confirmed. In April, we found debris on the same stretch of road that experts say is from an 82mm or 120mm mortar, because of the shape of the tail fin and the markings seen here. These types of mortars can be fired from roughly 2 to 5 miles away. We found evidence of heavy Russian military activity in that range throughout the month. In a March 5th recording shared with the Wall Street Journal, Yuri Supernenko, who was still in Motizhin at the time, called in a Russian firing location in this area to a member of the volunteer Ukrainian military.
Смотри, минут 10 назад за селом, как ехать на Киевское озеро, и дальше в поле метров 700. Видно, стоят установки, потому что вышли 2 ракеты.
Just to the west of the firing location Supernenko reported, we can see Russian vehicles in a drone video from late March. In a forested area just north of the Russian vehicles, in early April, the Wall Street Journal saw more evidence of Russian troops. A mass grave.
Yes.
And military badges from the 37th Guards Motor Rifle Brigade. Residents also said Russian troops fired on cars from positions close to the road. The Russian embassy in Washington, D.C. didn't respond to requests for comment. The Kremlin has said previously it is not targeting civilians. On March 7th, a message posted in a Motizhin Telegram group warned of a roadblock. That same day, a civilian named Oleg Moskalenko, who was traveling towards Motizhin, was taken captive at a checkpoint, according to his daughter. His car was left on the road. Rocks, likely used to block the road, are visible in videos filmed in the days that followed. Moskalenko's friends and family used the Find My Phone tool to track his phone. The last coordinates point to a line of trees along the road. Moskalenko's daughter said that he was questioned about being a member of the Ukrainian forces and beaten. He was eventually released by the Russians and is now recovering in a German hospital. We can still see Oleg's car on the road in a March 10th video filmed by evacuees. We also see another car abandoned nearby, suggesting more civilians were captured or fled. On March 16th, a news video shows a third car that's been abandoned, a damaged red station wagon with a white cloth tied to a side mirror, and a sign in the windshield that reads children in Russian and Ukrainian. Near the vehicle, Ukrainian soldiers discover the dead body of a local man. Facebook messages reveal that a woman driving in the car was rescued and taken to the hospital with injuries. We were unable to determine whether she ultimately survived. What Yuri Supernenko describes in the March 17th video after his escape speaks to the lasting toll of Russian brutality on the road.
Трупи, вони вже синівші, розстріляні автомобілі, в яких угадувались силуети дітей. Мої діти все це бачили. Старшою була істерика. У вісні просипається. Малий також постійно кричить. Не хочу розповідати.
That's just a little piece of what's going on. It's just, I wonder about this Mariupol. I mean, what must be going on there? What must have taken place there? And there are these reports. Unfortunately, American media is not covering it well, but there's reports in Europe about the transport of thousands of Ukrainians into Russia. They're obviously going into these camps, perhaps slave labor, perhaps worse, who knows, by the thousands.
Want to see more Mark Levin? Go to levintv.com and subscribe now.